Hello there. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. It is brunch time with Mayegun. Thanks so much for joining me once again. Share this broadcast after reading the caption of it, the description. Share it. That is right. Tell everyone of them. Mayegun today. Tan tan tan. Ani esunraki. Mayegun today. Ojelu esunraki. Ndume. You remember him? I'll tell you about him. Don't worry. He's one of the 109 senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And he just came up now to say Tinubu is inaccessible to them. And at the same time, Tinubu's regime is led by Kakistocrats as well as kleptocrats. We'll talk about that. If Nigeria collapse, blame Tinubu. Threats every AK day from this northern element, right? The young man killed himself in Nigeria yesterday. I'll tell you about that too. Tragedy. Today, a two-story building that was housing the students who we believe, they said they were sitting for an examination. The house collapsed, the building collapsed this afternoon. In Jos, the number of people or the number of casualty is yet to be ascertained, but people have died. Children.
The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there's not.
Thank you. So good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. It is Mayegun's brunch time. Remember, now, one of those who were among the northern rogues who have been blowing cold and hot. They were blowing cold and hot at the same time when Bokuwari, okay, put it this way, they were blowing cold when Bokuwari was destroying Nigeria. They were helping him to shape the laws, shape the narratives, and also back in the northern Nigeria, they ensured that none of them could really stand up against what they were facing under APC, Egbekegbe, during the Boko Haram's time. Ndume became famous under Goodluck Ebele Jonathan when Ndume became the middleman between the Boko Haram terrorists and Nigeria. Then he got arrested. So he said he was framed. He was only trying to work out peace because his own communities, his own senatorial district, his state, his region was under the terrorist attack. Then afterward, APC, Egbekegbe came in and he joined them. Being part of them, Boko Haram came and they started their rehabilitating terrorists in Nigeria. That's not rehabilitation though, but story for another day. Some of these guys were among those who initially told us that Boko Haram was clearing the mess of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan when it comes to insecurity in other areas. Well, table turned again, like I said, blowing cold and blowing hot. So Ndume is among those who also stood behind Tinubu as the Lagos miracle worker. Now, that's a story for another day as well. But there is something very much kind of evil that brought these guys together that then bring about this calamity, this bloodbath, this economic ruins that you are witnessing today was because of, number one, the interest of their religion. Number two, the interest of their northern Nigeria, northern bloc, which is mostly about northern political and the other elites, so to say. So whatever the arrangement was, Ndume is back and somehow he's playing the opposition role inside his own, I believe, right? Anyway, so Ndume came out and he complained that, listen, if all of you want to know the truth, it is a pure cabal thing, according to him. He said, you can all see what is going on in Nigeria. You can all see the brains and the ideas of these supposed Lagos boys, what they have done to Nigeria. But a lot of you have no idea that it is even worse, and it will be more worse because Tinubu, like Boko Haram, has clannished his regime. But he didn't clannish his regime with best minds, best brains. Rather, Tinubu's regime is filled with thieves, economic saboteurs. And as for Tinubu himself, he is no longer accessible. Now, the lamentation is in two ways. You can see it in two ways. The first one, let's hear the wail of a wailer, okay, among those who probably is not actually directly affected though. So let's clear that area. But one thing is this, he is speaking from the position of the political elite of northern Nigeria who have been issuing constant and continuous threat of how Tinubu is this, Tinubu is that. And I'm talking about those, like I said, who were much like blowing cold when Boko Haram was destroying Nigeria. But somehow now you can, like I said, two ways. The first one is you don't see him as Ndume as one of them, but listen to what he had to say. Then the second way, which is pretty much like unavoidable, okay, is the fact that it's just been a year after the traumatic 8 years of Boko Haram, of what northern Nigeria did to Nigeria, the northern political elites, those who are with Boko Haram, or what they did to Nigeria and the future of Nigeria. So what people are saying is, if there are people that are possibly should be talking, number one, right, it shouldn't be these northern enablers who encouraged Boko Haram at the time that whether we liked it or not, even half-dead Bokwari will complete 8 years. So for them to now be out of power after a year, and they are beginning to act like they love Nigeria, they care for Nigeria, this country. Yeah. So that's the second one. For my own view of it all is just to hear from the horse's mouth, okay, what normally they would deny among themselves. You see, if I say something, right, you are likely going to be like, how did you know about that? How do you know? Are you there? Were you there? But most of what I would say to you have been said by these rogues from all the tribes and ethnic and religion in Nigeria, right? But hearing it from them could give a better context to the message I want you to see from the whole thing. These are the people, right? That tomorrow they will tell you, Tinubu is doing well. The moment whatever their agenda or their interest is what they are pushing, some of them have heard, and I'll tell you, right? Whatever their agenda or whatever it is that they are missing out on, something that kept them comfortable with Bokwari while he ruined and destroyed Nigeria. Now that thing had been taken away, I believe. Somehow, now they will push the agenda of, he's bad. And everybody will be like, it's true, he's saying the truth. Then the same set of criminals will turn around in another few weeks. And then they will begin to speak in another language. And you'll be like, no, that's not true. It is because when politicians complain publicly, it is not because they care about you. It is because they need to use your own, your own hardship in a way to push their way. That's what I say in this. But let's go listen to how Ndume, part of those who are the kleptomaniacs, the overfed buffoons, speaking from the position of privilege, right? What he has to say about Kolu. The first part is, he's not accessible. We are no longer seeing him. Before now, his house in Abuja, we all used to go there, even up to 3 a.m. Now we don't see him. Look at the country. The first part with Charles on Arise.
If you know the president before now, then you know that the whole scenario has changed. This is somebody, he stays in Lagos. If you go to Bodilon, anytime, any day, anytime in the night, you can go to Bodilon 2 o'clock. And in most cases, you find President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, receiving people in and out. If you come to where he stays in Abuja here, Lagos, in the Lagos house, you will know from when you take a turn whether he's in town or not, any time of the day. There are times you can go there 3 in the night and you'll meet him there. But now, if you go to Villa, the front of Villa, it's like a graveyard because they don't allow anybody to go and see Mr. President.
Well, let me take you up on that because you suggested that the government or the presidency, indeed the presidency specifically, has adopted a closed-door policy, and that even ministers and members of the National Assembly, presumably like yourself, are struggling to engage with the president. I mean, that sounds pretty serious, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems, but that is the truth. The only thing, the news media put certain things not exactly the way. So now that I'm talking to you, hear it from the horse's mouth.
Absolutely.
In every government, it's like that. You have the gatekeepers. Those who want the president to know everything and to have other opinions will even encourage those that matter in the government to come over because, during Buhari's administration, which I thought was not that good. But if you compare this now to Buhari's regime, you will give Buhari a thumbs up. Because
some would say that would be rather difficult to do.
Because at least he opens up, people come to see him. I'm quoting, you quote me, and if it's not true, I don't speak just like that.
Right.
There are some ministers don't have access to Mr. President. The only access they have to Mr. President is when they are maybe invited, and some may not be invited, or when they go for council meeting. And you know, when they go for council, by the time the president goes in, all of them are seated. And the president is the first person to leave. You can't say, oh, I want to, no, that is it. There is a procedure. And then the SGF, who is supposed to be the clearinghouse, I don't know about, I've not seen him most lately. But I'm telling you, Charles, I won't come to the TV or even in private lie.
So have you had a challenge in seeing the president yourself personally?
Well, let me tell you one thing. The president severally, if we meet in the public, he will say, Chief Ndume, why are you not coming? Why am I? And I said, no, Mr. President, when you look for me, I'll be there.
Did you say to him, well, he's not allowing me to come in?
I said it once to one of his staff, that they are the people that are keeping us out of this place. And so I will not struggle to come and see Mr. President, but I have an obligation to speak for the people, or speak for my people, or speak as a senator. You can imagine I am the chief whip. If a chief whip cannot have access to Mr. President, the new senators, of course.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, let me tell you. And let me tell you in difference to it. Obasanjo started, during his government, in 24 hours, if any senator wants to see him, nobody will ask him, what do you want to see the president for? He makes sure that within 24 hours, any senator has access to him. Ministers go in and out. Obasanjo, as old as he was older than our president, he will be saying, that is politics. You talk to the people, hear from the people. But now, to me, it seems, besides shielding Mr. President, they always give him assurance that everything is out there, is all right out there. And that is not
nuisance, Lily.
So did you get the context I wanted you to grasp, right? Even though there is something in there that you can't wish away. And that is the fact that the ministers that work for the president, they can't just go and see him. Like he's operating a closed door policy, right? But why do you have to go and see him personally if you are not a minister working for him, or working with him, rather, because mostly they are working for him rather than work with him? Politician, it's called access. That's what everyone buys. That's why they speak glowingly. That's why they lie publicly in order to call blue black, or to call white red. Access. Just say something nice, and then you will be invited. Or you will be given the access that says, anytime, any day is coming. Once the president is in, let him in. Don't stop him on the way. There are people like access. And this access is just to go and seek personal favor. Sometimes they'll disguise personal favor as the favor for their people. So that then makes this single man like a godlike. So if you don't have access, you are out. You don't know what's going on inside. Others have access. Do you get what I mean? So by so doing, you have to show working, you have to show loyalty publicly if you want to have access and possibly get whatever you want. Because it's just by a flick of a finger. Say, Mr. President, please, I just want, if you can give me this, so, and so, and they say, okay, consider it done. And that's it. Access. Access to have a close, or a closeness to the kleptomaniacs. He said more here, describing those around him now.
Well, first of all, let me honor, as you rightly said, I'm supposed to be one of the top member of this government or the committee. And most importantly, I have this relationship with, personal relationship with Mr. President dates back long. We're very, very anxious, looking forward to what and believing in what he said, the renewed hope. And when he came on board, you can see he's somebody that is very anxious about, and that was why he is used to taking some bold decisions. But as I said, and I'm on TV, I speak straight.
Indeed.
If there's anybody that will, say what I'm saying is not true, can come up tomorrow and talk to Charles. This government is going down, and that is because yesterday I did not say it is taken over or polluted by plutocrats. No. If it were plutocrats, it would be better. But this government, and you can quote me on that, is now run by Kakistocrats. And that's very, very dangerous.
Explain.
Kakistocrats? I have it here. You can check the definition. It's a government run by worst, least qualified, and most unscrupulous citizens. I'm not the first one that says.
Right, because the reason you were quoted as saying by several different sources, as saying that the government's been taken over by plutocrats. And I was going to ask you to clarify that, because plutocrats are wealthy people, who are running sort of a government.
No, this government is populated by Kakistocrats and kleptocrats.
Right, okay, kleptocrats,
Yes.
people who are members of the kleptocracy,
Yeah,
who are basically dipping their hands into the till
to make
all the time.
government for what they can make for
Right,
themselves.
okay.
Unfortunately, that is not what the president personally, as I know him, as I said, is up to. He really meant this renewed hope thing. But you can only do that when you have people around you that are on the same kind of thinking.
Right.
But this is not what is happening right now. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3 incidences where when the president realizes he is not ashamed of taking decision to correct it. Even when it started with appointments and all that. And the same thing with policies. When they bring policies that the people are against, I give you an example recently with this cyber crime levy. When the president realized that you have not heard about it, he again equally suspended it. What I'm hoping now is that he will look out and get, I don't believe, again I say, that he is in the real picture of what is happening out there. People are angry. You can't imagine the number of calls I received today, including yourself.
I called you very early in the morning.
Yeah, but what were you saying? Hey, you are yourself again, because you say it as it is and you come. Look, somebody has to do this. I'm 64 years old. I thank God for everything. And I think what is left to me as a politician or expected of me is to speak out the truth to whoever he is. Well, first of all, let me...
Did you get that? Someone said they will go on TV to begin to speak useless big grammars. Well, he's right. Tinubu's illegitimate regime is going down. But is it going to go down alone? That's the point. Or is it going to possibly stay down? That is what you're about to find out. If Tinubu's illegitimate regime goes down, the thing is, it won't go down alone. It will take with it the likes of Ndume and many others. Because, in case if you don't know how they operate, it is either their way or the highway. Yes. So Ndume believes, which is true, that those around appointed by Tinubu are just there to work on what they can make for themselves. Absolute truth. There is no mixture, rather. I mean, you have been hearing about Bill. Okay, take a listen. Bukwari borrowed in 8 years, right? Bukwari borrowed the total of 110 trillion. They are hiding some of them from you, but they said it is just 85 trillion. I don't know. My record says 110 trillion. That was the debt, right? How much Bokwari borrowed. And including the money he printed, right? And up to this moment, nobody can point to one thing started, completed with part of that money. Nobody. To this moment, nobody. And not just that. That's for 8 years. Within that 8 years, out of that money, 27.4 trillion was printed cash. If you exchange it with the exchange rate of that time, that is over $50 billion. $50 billion. The money was shared among all the 36 states and the local government and the rest of them, and the money disappeared. Rather than reduce poverty, improve infrastructure,